Welcome. So today we're going to talk about date and time functions. So before we do that, we'll talk about dates and times. So dates and times are weird. They're not quite strings and they're not quite numbers. I'd say they have more in common with numbers because you can do math with them, like add a day or subtract a date, and you can order them meaningfully. But they are kind of like strings because oftentimes you display them like strings, like January 2nd. So the format is in MySQL, it's four-digit year, then month, and then date, which is different than what you're used to because in this country we do month, day, year. So year, month, day, that's going to trip you up. You will get an error and you will figure it out pretty quickly if you try and do it wrong, but just reminding you of that as many times as I can. It also needs to be wrapped in quotes like a string, which really makes it even more stringy, but it's not a string, so it's got a specified format, right? Because if it was just a string, format wouldn't matter, but it does matter because it's a date. So these are very common, very useful, and there are a bunch of functions associated with them because they are inherently difficult to work with. Dates might seem not so difficult to work with, but they are difficult to work with. Like, for example, different months have different numbers of days. Sometimes there's a leap year. So, date math is weird. So, there's a lot of functions, and we're going to look at the ones that I think are the most useful. So, the first one we'll talk about is it's useful, but in an intro to SQL class, it's probably not one you're going to use a lot, but now function. And so I say now, but there's a bunch of functions that do the same thing. This is a function which gives you the current date and time. So I say now because it's easiest to say. You can also do cur date and cur time. Cur time gives you the current time. Cur date gives you the cur date. Now gives you the cur date. And the dates usually have a time with them. Just mess around with them and write them out. You'll see how they work. There are alternative functions. The current timestamp is another one. There are a bunch of these, and these are all functions which give you the current date and time. You might need it for something. Imagine if you had an e-commerce store and you wanted to record, that you sold something right now. Well, I guess you would need the now function, right? If you wanted to create a row for that. Now, spoiler alert, you wouldn't actually. You would just use a timestamp as a type, but in theory, you can see why you might need now or a reference to the current date. So this is the big scariest one of the whole thing, and this is the date format function. So by default, say you do something like the now function, it gives you a date, and it makes sense, but it's kind of hard to read. When you want to display a date in a specific format, you need the date format function. It says date underscore format. This is a common one. If you're displaying dates and times, you'll need this. So the function looks like this. It's called date format, and then the first argument you pass it is the date, and the second thing is the format string. The format string is infinitely complicated. You have to decide what you want, right? Do you want month, day, year? Do you want the two-digit month, four-digit month? What I mean by that is like, say, May, for example. You could say it's 5, right? May is month number 5. If it's a two-digit month, then it's 05. For something like December, where it's 12 and it's always two digits, it doesn't matter, but there is a difference. You might not have thought about it, but there is a difference. Sometimes you want a two-digit year, sometimes you want a four-digit year. A lot of times when you think about dates, you think about them like this, but you could also think about it in terms of December 23rd, right? And maybe you don't have numbers. Maybe you want words. Maybe you want days of the week. Maybe you want times. Maybe you want AMs, PMs. Maybe you want the military time. And there's a lot of ways you might want to display a date and a time. And that's where these format strings come into play. So it looks like this. You pass it a date and you pass it a format code. And this format code is something that I say you make it up, and you can make it up to be however it wanted. Each one of these little things in here inside of this string means something. And to translate that a little bit, every thing that follows a parenthesis or a percent sign, that's a code. Right? So when you see that percent sign or an M, that means an M means something. And a percent sign D, so the D means something. And you also see those slashes in there. And they're kind of hard to see, but those slashes are just string literals. Those are whatever you want. Those are just slashes. If I want them to be slashes, they're slashes. If I want them to be hyphens, then they're hyphens. So the things that follow the percent signs are specific codes, and everything else is just a literal. It looks really messy, and it is messy, and they are scary. And I will say this, if you ever really needed to display a date in a particular format, just Google it. Say MySQL, date format, and then type in what you want. Someone else has done it for you. In the worst case, you could just do that. I do that all the time. All right, so let's do this. Format today's date to look like month, day, year. All right, so this will be good to actually put this into play. So today's date, well, let's use that now function. So select now, and let's just do that. See what that prints out. And you see, so now that's that current date time object. So it's 2025, 12/23 when I'm doing this, and it's 14/20. I don't know, maybe you like how that's displayed, maybe you don't. I mean, that kind of makes sense. You can see it, but I would imagine if you had a choice, you'd probably prefer it to be 12/23/25, right? You'd probably switch that around, and you can, and maybe you don't want to display the time. Maybe you don't want to display the number of seconds. That is what date format's for. So instead of that, we'll just say date format. And so now that now is the first argument. And the second thing is that crazy little code. So comma, and now time for my format code. I know some format codes, so I'll do %m, lowercase m, that's month. Then I'm doing a slash, %d, slash, %, uppercase y. Uppercase y means 4-digit year. How do I know that? Well, because I looked it up. And you see, so now instead of looking like, whatever it was before with a weird date time with the year first, now that's kind of probably what you would want it to look like. Let's see what a lowercase y is. I think a lowercase y is 2-digit year. So you see, every little part of this you can format, and see these slashes? Well, if you wanted those to be hyphens, which is fine. So like I said, anything that's not preceded by a % is a string literal. And what if you wanted to put other stuff in there? You could, right? So where do those magic format codes come from? Good question. I will go to the internet and I will search it up. And I will pause the video and I'll see you there in a second. All right, so I just went to Google and I typed in date format. I'm sure there's a bunch of websites with information. I'll go W3 schools. Here's a little example. You see, so they just did % uppercase y. I assume that's going to be just the 4-digit year. Here's all those little codes. Right, so remember I did the lowercase m, so that was month name is numeric value. See, a 2-digit month is what that means. Lowercase d was day of the month is numeric value. And then those y's, there was 2-digit and there was 4-digit. Let's say we wanted the day of the week as well. Well, you see there's all this crazy stuff in here that I don't even really want to think about. Let's go month name in, no, how about day of the week? Honestly, I don't know what it is. I'm looking for it. I'm sure you've seen it. I don't know. Weekday name. Okay, so W is day of the week. So I guess I would say something like W, comma, I guess. And I run that and I get Tuesday, comma. So you see, that's how those date codes happen. So remember on the little slide I had a minute ago, I said, just look it up, right? If you're really trying to figure out how to display a date, just write it in Google and you'll find someone. All the most common stuff has been done a million times before. And if you need to look something up, then just look it up. But those are date codes. So it's really useful, but they're scary looking. But that's where they come from. So another set of functions are used for parsing dates and times. Parsing means breaking something apart into meaningful pieces, right? So let's say you got this date time object and all you want is, the month or just the year or something like that, right? You're parsing it, you're breaking it into pieces. There are kind of two schools of how to do this. One is these pretty straightforward name things like month, year, and quarter. So like month, and if you pass a date time to the month function, it'll give you back the month as an integer. Year gives you back a 4-digit integer. Quarter seems weird, right? Because unless you're a business person, you probably don't think much about quarters, but the quarter function will give you the quarter back as an integer. There's all kinds of things, just date parsing functions. You can look it up. I'm not going to go over all of them. It would just take time. They're easy to use. And so anything you'd want to extract out of a date, you can extract. And on the note of extract, there's another function which is an alternate to those functions. And so the extract function can also parse dates. Extract's I guess, a little bit more difficult to use. You tell it what you want to extract and you give it the date. So on one hand, it's easier because it's just one function, and instead of like a individual function for every one of the little things, I'm going to use these. I'm just telling you. When I use them, I'm going to use these. If you want to use this, you can. As you've already seen, we're talking about functions. We were talking about string functions. There are alternatives, and you have a choice. There's a good argument to be made that these are easy to read, and there's a good argument that this one function can do all the parsing for you. So either one. I'm not really planning to do any examples with those because they are pretty straightforward. Now another set of issues is date calculation functions. So date math is weird. You might think like, why would you ever want to do math with dates? Well, sometimes you do. Say you wanted to have a countdown to your birthday. Well, that's date math, right? Or how many days ago was an order shipped or something, right? There are a lot of reasons why you might need to find the difference between two dates. There's also a thing where sometimes you want to add to dates and subtract from dates, which sounds really easy, right? If you're talking about January 3rd and you add 2 to it, well, you just add 2 to the days, right? It becomes January 5th. That's easy to say, but that is pretty weird. So it's like you don't add anything to the months, but you do add something to the days. And right, that sounds kind of doable, but what if it's at the end of the month? So sometimes you add something to the days, and then the months go up, and the days go down, and maybe even the years go up. Right? Date math is hard. Um, I'm sure that there's some people out there that are just gifted and know how many days are in every month, but I do not. So date add, date subtract, those are functions to, so you pass it a date and the unit you want to add, and it'll do the math for you. There are more than this. The one that I'm going to use the most in this class is date diff. Date diff is used to calculate the number of days between two dates. You need a function for that because otherwise it would be really hard, right? You just to go to the days and figure out the difference between those. If you start thinking about how that would actually work, you should probably realize why you need a function for it. So dates are complicated, right? They have varying numbers of days, there's leap years, and math can be difficult. I mean, what if you want to know the difference between two dates that are 30 years apart? There's a little more to it than just multiplying by 365. And the last set of issues I want to talk about is searching for date times. So this can be problematic because if you have a date time, you saw what they look like, right? It's like 12, 23, 25. But then there was also this time associated with it. And if you were trying to look for that date, just comparing it in terms of equality, date equals 12, 23, 25, it wouldn't equal that because it has a timestamp on it, right? Like time. I mean, not all dates have times, but if it has a time and you're just searching for a date, that's going to be a problem. It's not going to work. So sometimes when you're searching for date times, you might very well get 0 rows because you're not going to match in terms of equality because there's a time on it. And formatting can be an issue. So there's 3 good solutions. One solution that works well for searching with dates and times is just a straight up an inequality operator. I mean, this works if you're just talking about days because you're not going to have any issues with the times. Right? If you just say I want all the dates that are past January 1st, 2021, that's going to be fine, right? You're not going to run into any issues with the time part of the date. Parsing functions are also useful. So like if you're looking for, everything from January, then use that month function. Right? Again, that's going to extract out the part of the date that you're worried about and not worry about the time. And the other thing you can do is you can format the date you're searching for as a date. So remember that date format function? You can apply that to a date time and then make the thing you're searching more like the thing that you're searching for. I know this is a weird slide and I don't know how helpful it is. If I've just kind of got you thinking a little bit about, date times being complicated objects, and then when you're searching them, there's usually some complexity there that makes the search not work the way that you'd like it to. If you got just a crude understanding of that, then you're in good shape. I can't solve that all for you right now. I just want to talk about it. So I'm just going to do a couple examples of searching dates. So let's say we want to display all the orders placed on 4/1/2009. All right, so let's see how this goes. Select. I have no idea what the column they're called. I haven't looked at it in a while. So it's order date. So select order date from orders, where order date, let's just try straight up equality, 2009, 4, 1, and let's see if that works. It looks okay. It turned out 4 rows. Look at orders, there's not that much in here. It looks like it worked. And the reason it worked is these are just, they're not date times, they're just dates. So it was fine. So that slide I was just showing you, telling you doesn't always work well. That's just if you have a date time object, is what I'm talking about. So here that was fine. I'm sure there's other ways we could do this, but that was straightforward enough. Nothing too tricky about that, but it could potentially be tricky. All right, let's do another one. So display all the orders placed in February. All right, so that's a little more interesting. How do you want to do that? We could do an inequality, I guess. Go from February 1st to the last day of February. Or we can use one of those parsing functions. Also, the way this is written, I guess that would be March from like every year. And so if we did the inequality scheme, that would only work for 1 year. Select order date from orders, where let's use that month function, parse out the month, equals January, February, March. So that sounds like a 3. And I know the table. The orders are only like the end of March and the beginning of April, so that is right. I mean, if you want to see it, you can. So there's multiple schemes for doing that one, but I think that was the most straightforward one. And then the last one, display all the orders placed from March 1st to March 3rd. So we could do an inequality on that, and that would be perfectly fine, and I would think that most people would. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Well, I will. I'll tell you what I mean, but I'm not going to do it. So where order date. So like I could say order date greater than, I could say or greater than or equal to March 1st, and order date is less than or equal to March 3rd. I could do it like that, but I'll use a between operator. Having problems. You can see my brain not working well here. I'm thinking, what does the date format look like between that and now there's no reason for me to do between here. I just did between because I know I don't do between very often, and I figured this would be a good time to show it. So there's 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, that looks fine. So you could have just written this out with pure inequalities, greater than one and less than the other. That would have been fine. I used the between operator. I could have done something with in. There's quite a few ways I could have done that. And that, oh, oops, I went ahead of myself. So that's those are the examples. So most of what I did here is talk about the date functions that exist, and hopefully you understand that date time are complicated and working with them is complicated, and there's a bunch of functions that exist to make that task not so difficult. And that's the end of the lecture. So understand that if you need to look things up, just look things up. It's not reasonable to memorize all the date codes and all the functions for working with dates, but they're out there, and if you need them, just use them. Thanks for watching.